Paratmanamekam Jagadbijamadyam Niriham Nirakaram Onkar Vidyam Yato Jayate Palyate Yena Vishvam Tamisham Bhajeli Yate Yatra Vishvam. Hariom Tatsu. Hariom Tatsu. Hariom Tatsu. My humble pranams to revered Swami Shantananji Maharaj, revered Swami Shuddhidananda Maharaj, and my namaskars to all of you, dear devotees. Just now we heard wonderful bhajans. I was not there, but towards the end when I came, I could see the wonderful impact that it had on the listeners. So after listening to that bhajan, again coming back to lectures is like eating bitter gourd after having eaten gulab jamun. But anyway, you have to put up with us for the next 1 hour. So, because there is a gradation in this also. Better than worldly talks, spiritual talks are superior. Better than spiritual talks, bhajans are superior. Better than bhajans, superior to that is meditation. So it's like there's a gradation in these things. So to lift our mind from utterly worldly situation, spiritual talks are definitely very important. Anyhow, coming back to our main subject here. So our subject today is here, Sri Ramakrishna and truth. In the morning session, I ended my talk on Holy Mother with the idea of Advaita. Now this Advaita is the ultimate truth. And no teacher has ever spoken anything apart from this. This we should keep it in mind. This great Advaita, Brahma Vidya Parampara, has been coming down from the Upanishads, coming down to Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, coming down to Bhagwan Sri Shankaracharya, and now it is Swami Vivekananda and Sri Ramakrishna. All of them are speaking the same truth, the truth kept before the entire humanity by the Upanishads. I always say that these great incarnations, they are the retellers of the great wisdom propounded by the rishis of the Upanishads. They are the retellers. Not only retellers, they are also the great demonstrators of what the Upanishad is speaking. So Upanishad speaks about one ultimate reality which alone is true. Now, what is the definition of truth? You see, the Sanskrit word or the Indian word for the term truth is what? Satyam. Is it not? And the Satyam word comes from Sat. Sat means existence. What actually exists is Sat. And that which is Sat is what is Satyam or truth. Now, what is actually existing in this so-called mysterious creation? That is the big question. We need not go into it now. That will be a different kind of inquiry into what exactly is truth and how do we reach there. But the Upanishads say that this truth which we are talking about, it is Brahman. Sat, Chit, Anandam, Brahman. This is the ultimate reality, truth. But how do we define it? Our great rishis have defined that truth is that which is trikala abadhita. It's an important point. Truth is that which is trikala abadhita. Trikala abadhita means that which exists in all the 3 points of time. That means that which never goes away, which is always existing. These are all important points. Truth is that which never goes away, which is always existing. Now, adherence to this is what is the practice of truthfulness. Now, this Brahman which we are talking about, which is the only thing which is actually always existing, everything else is appearing to exist. Again, I repeat, it is this Brahman which is actually existing at all points of time, and everything else is appearing to exist. It is this Brahman, through its own Maya Shakti, appears in the form of this mysterious creation. We are touching upon some very vital points. If we have to understand Sri Ramakrishna's adherence to truth at the transactional plane, how does it happen? And this is very relevant to you and me also. So this very Brahman, through its Maya Shakti, appears in the form of this mysterious creation. And the first expression of this ultimate absolute truth called Brahman in this creation is what? There is a beautiful and important term which is Ritam. Please note it down. It is this absolute truth which first expresses itself in the form of Ritam. Ritam means a cosmic order. You see, behind all that we are seeing here in this physical plane, the suns and the moons and the different heavenly bodies all moving in perfect order as if something is making it go in a perfect way. They don't cross their bounds. The days move into night, night into days. One season follows the other. There is an order behind everything in this creation. This cosmic order is what is referred to as Ritam. It's a very important principle. This is a principle. This is not a concept. It is an existential principle which is governing everything in this physical plane. So the absolute truth, Brahman, first expresses itself in the form of Ritam, the cosmic order. And then that very cosmic order finds expression at the level of transaction, our day-to-day transaction, in the form of dharma or righteousness. Now you see, we are coming down from the absolute truth to the level of our everyday dealing. That absolute truth expressing itself in the form of the cosmic order, finally expressing itself at the level of our activities in the form of righteousness, dharma. Now at the level of our transactions, everyday activity, you know what the Upanishad says? Upanishad's great teaching is that Satyat na pramaditavyam, Dharmat na pramaditavyam. It's a great utterance you will find in Taittiriya Upanishad. Never deviate from Dharma, never deviate from Satyam. Satyam vada dharmam chara. You might have heard this. Upanishad says, in our level of activity, day-to-day activity, the teachings of the Upanishad is that never deviate from the principle of truth, never deviate from the principles of righteousness, dharma. Now just imagine, when we are adhering to truthfulness at our transactional plane, what is happening is that we become aligned to the cosmic order. And when we become aligned to the Ritam, the cosmic order, through that you are becoming aligned to that absolute truth called Brahman. So this is the perfect alignment which we have to bring about, starting from our activity, day-to-day activity. It is not only action, because our actions are preceded by thoughts. So our thoughts, our speech and our actions, all of them have to be adhering to dharma and satya Through that you become aligned to Rhythm, the cosmic order, and through that you become one with the absolute truth called Brahman. Now a person who is doing this, remember, for him the Upanishad says, Satyam eva jayate, truth alone triumphs, never untruth. This person who is practicing truthfulness and dharma in this way at the transactional plane, he will become invincible. Truth alone triumphs, never untruth. Now this is important for us to understand, this perfect alignment with what is true, starting from our day-to-day activities. When we do that, something wonderful happens. What happens? I'll come to that point a little later. Now this adherence to truthfulness is presented as the greatest practice, especially in this Kali Yuga. In this Kali Yuga, where there is outright deviation from truthfulness, to stick to truthfulness itself is the supreme practice, spiritual practice, which will lead us to illumination. This has to be taken very seriously. Now, before coming to Thakur, let me just touch upon some instances which we find in our tradition. How important and significant it is for all of us to adhere to the principle of Dharma and Satya. One beautiful instance which comes to my mind is, this is an instance which comes in Chandogya Upanishad, where there is a beautiful episode about a small boy, Satyakama. This boy, Satyakama, his name itself is Satyakama, one who aspires after truth. So beautiful, Satyakama. This boy, a small boy, he is asking his mother, the mother's name is Jabal. He is asking his mother, Mother, who is my father? And look at this honesty of this mother. The mother says, my dear child, I don't know who is your father, because I was a maid servant and I was working in different houses, and that is how you were conceived. I don't know who your father is. Just imagine the honesty of this mother's statement to the son. The son is saying, the mother is telling the son, I don't know who is your father. Now it is the time for the son to go to the Gurukula and to get admitted there. And the son goes to the Gurukula, and naturally in the Gurukula, the Guru will first ask, who is your father? Who is your mother? So when the child was asked, Satyakama was asked by the Guru, my boy, who is your father? That son, Satyakama, repeated verbatim what his mother told. It gives me goosebumps. This boy is telling his Guru, Gurudev, my mother has told me that she doesn't know who is my father, because she was working as a maid servant in different houses. That is how I was born. Now, will this Guru be disheartened or happy? This Guru was simply elated. It is only a true Brahmana who can speak such a damaging truth. Just imagine, who can speak such a damaging truth? Look at the honesty and truthfulness of this small boy. He is telling to the Gurudev, Gurudev, I don't know who my father is. This is what I have been told by my mother. And the Guru is so elated. You are the fit candidate for Brahmagyana. Come. Such a beautiful illustration of adherence to truth in all situations, even a great damaging truth like what the boy had told to his Guru. Another one incident which comes to my mind, which Swami Vivekananda refers to it. You know, you all might heard about Kumarila Bhatt. Kumarila Bhatt, you have heard? Kumarila Bhatt was a great Karmakandi just at the time of Sri Shankaracharya. Now, I'm not going into the details of the whole story, but it's very important. To what extent people went to stick to the principles of truth. This was the great legacy which we have in this country. Such giants have lived in this country. So during Kumarila Bhatt's time, we all know, the entire country was converted to Buddhism. And the only one mission of Kumarila Bhatt was to bring India back to her Vedic root, which was further continued by Shankaracharya, the great Shankaracharya. So Kumarila Bhatt, he was a great Karmakandi, what did he do? He disguised himself as a Buddhist aspirant and went to a Buddhist teacher to learn the intricacies of Buddhist philosophy. And his intention was to learn the Buddhist philosophy from the Buddhist teachers and using those very arguments to defeat them. So he spent several years studying Buddhism from that teacher, and finally using those very arguments, he defeated those Buddhist teachers. And that is the story goes. And many of the, in the earlier days, the rule used to be that whoever is defeated in the debate, that defeated person will have to adopt the ideology of the winning person. So in this way, he had won over many of the Buddhist teachers. But somewhere, deep in his heart, Kumarila Bhatt had a feeling that whatever it is, my cause might have been a good cause, but what I did was a deviation from truth. And as a prashchitta, can you imagine? This great man, as a prashchitta, what was the prashchitta? He entered into the fire willfully, Tushagni. That is the story. In order to free himself from this so-called sin which he had committed. What was the sin? Deviation from truth. In order to expiate himself from that, he entered into fire. And that is the time when Shankaracharya came and he saw that Kumarila Bhatt, he is putting an end to his life by burning himself down. Why? Because he had deviated from truth. Swami Vivekananda speaks about this incident so loftily. He says, this is the great, such giants have lived in this life, those who would give away everything for the sake of truth. So today we are celebrating Ram Navami. In the Ram Navami, what is that great utterance is there? Raghukula Reet Sada Chali Aayi, Prana Jai Par Vachana Na Jai. This is a great parampara of this, those who are born in this Raghukula, in the Raghuvanshis. They would give away their life, but they would not deviate from what they have spoken. This is the great legacy which we have in this great country. Now, coming down to Sri Ramakrishna, who is the main protagonist of today's discussion. From where do we start? Because his whole life is just nothing but a story of absolute, I'm talking about absolute in double quotes, absolute adherence to truth, truth and truth, nothing else. His life is a pure demonstration to be fully established in truth in all the planes. When I'm talking about all the planes, transactional plane, Ritham and Satyam. Satyam, Ritham and Dharma. At all the planes, this person is perfectly aligned with truth. Truth in speech, in thought and in action. That is why we find Sri Ramakrishna as Sri Ramakrishna is. Let me talk about that very incident which Maharaj has referred to. See, his father, Shuddhidananda Chattopadhyay, what happened? He was living in a village called Deregram, a few miles away from Kamarpukur, and there was a landlord at that time. That landlord was a tyrant, a person who used to exploit the tenants, and he had instituted a false legal case against one of the tenants, and he needed the witness of someone known. So who could be a better person than Shuddhidananda Chattopadhyay? Because Shuddhidananda was a person well known for his honesty and integrity. So if Shuddhidananda gives a statement in favor of this landlord, he will win the case. And for that reason, this tyrant landlord, he asks Shuddhidananda to speak a lie in his favor so that he can win the case. Now just imagine, Raghukula Reet Sada Chali Aayi, Prana Jai Par Vachana Na Jai. This person, Shuddhidananda, he could not give a false statement in favor of this landlord. Even when he knew that if he is not going to give this false statement in favor of this landlord, he knew very well that he will have to incur the anger and wrath of this landlord and the consequences of that. And that is what exactly happened. This landlord became angry because Shuddhidananda didn't speak in favor of him, and owing to that, he took away all his land and property, his paternal property, everything was taken away. Shuddhidananda was was made to become an absolute destitute and poor man. And then Shuddhiram, with his family, he was forced to leave Gurugram, and then he comes to Kamarpukur, and rest of the thing is the story. Now see, we are talking about Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna was a person who was born in such a family who would give away everything but not deviate 1 inch from truth. It's an amazing thing to note actually. Otherwise, a person like Sri Ramakrishna would not have been born in that family. Such a eligible father or parents, to such eligible and noble parents, such divine child can be born. Then we find, now many incidents we will come across in Sri Ramakrishna's life, like the Dhani Kamarani's statement, which Maharaj has already referred to. Dhani Kamarani, a woman of low caste, she was very fond of Gadadhar as a small boy, and once she had extracted a promise from Gadadhar, saying that Gadadhar, at the time of your Upanayanam, you should receive bhiksha from me. And this boy, in his innocence, he had said, yes, ma, yes, mother, I will receive bhiksha from you. Just one word. And he went away. Then when the boy was ready to, the time came for him to get the sacred thread. At that time, now all other different items are there. All those items are now over. Now he has to receive bhiksha from a Brahmin. That is the custom, the existing custom of that time. Now when that time came, this boy said, I have committed that I will receive bhiksha from Dhani Kamarani. Everyone is shocked. How is it possible? This lady is a lady of a low caste. How can you receive bhiksha from her? This is not the existing custom and practice. But Gadadhar would not listen to anything. He stuck to his gun. He said, I will receive this bhiksha from this lady and this lady alone. I have given the word. Finally, the entire community had to agree to the small boy, and Gadadhar receives that bhiksha from Dhani Kamarani. The thing is that, you see, this adherence to truth, through that practice, what actually happened was that existing custom, highly crystallized custom, in which I'm talking about the degraded caste system. Okay, the degraded caste system has got nothing to do with original Hinduism. Please take this point very seriously. Often we attack Hinduism for this degraded caste system. This degraded caste system is the creation of corrupt minds. It has got nothing to do with original Hinduism. So that degraded caste system, this was the first big blow which Gadadhar, this great incarnation of the present age, he gave to this so-called crystallized corrupt custom of making differentiation based upon caste, based upon birth. Anyhow, then we find several such incidents in Sri Ramakrishna's life. You know, Sri Ramakrishna's wonderful thing which comes to my mind. Sri Ramakrishna, he would offer everything to Divine Mother. Oh Mother, here is thy knowledge, here is thy ignorance, here is thy virtue, here is thy vice, here is the good and here is the bad, here is the fame, here is the calumny. Everything I am offering to you, nothing belongs to me. But he could not offer truthfulness to Divine Mother. Now this point is very important. See, once Sri Ramakrishna offered everything to Divine Mother, it would be impossible for him to again cast his glance on those things which he had offered to Divine Mother. We also do this, but we fail. You know, it's very interesting. We also try to practice the same thing what Sri Ramakrishna did. We also say, हे भगवान, ये मेरा कुछ नहीं है, सब तेरा ही है. हम लोग भी बोल देते हैं, हे भगवान, ये मेरी जो संपत्ति है, मेरे बच्चे जो हैं, मेरा कुछ भी नहीं है, सब तेरा ही है. लेकिन विपत्ति आते ही क्या हो जाता है, हम लोग इस बात को भूल जाते हैं, फिर तो मेरा मेरा करने लगते हैं. जैसे ही विपत्ति आती है हमारे जीवन में, हमने जो कहा था इस बात को हम भूल जाते हैं और फिर हम लोग मेरा मेरा करने लगते हैं. But in case of Sri Ramakrishna, once he has given, means it's given, it's gone. It would be impossible for him to cast any glance on it. It's a very important thing. Just like Sri Ramakrishna once, while practicing his sadhana, he was equating wealth to dust. Wealth, coin. Coin is what? It is as worthless as dust. Mati taka, taka mati. Now see, when he was saying that, that was the final thing. After that, throughout his life, he could never touch money. Can you imagine? Adherence to truth at the transactional plane, getting aligned with the cosmic order, and through that getting aligned with the absolute truth. Now see, why I'm talking about this getting aligned to the cosmic order, it is that alignment which was not allowing Sri Ramakrishna to touch coin from then onwards. That's why whenever Sri Ramakrishna touched coin, it would give him a pain just like a scorpion had stung him. Cosmic order. He is so aligned with the cosmic order that it would not allow this person's physical actions anymore to come in contact with something which is called wealth. See, we should understand the whole dynamism. To understand Sri Ramakrishna's life, what is happening in Sri Ramakrishna's life, how is physical action at a physical plane. So there is something behind that with which he is so aligned, that which is behind will not allow him to again take a wrong step. Any number of such incidents we can quote. Now you take this another incident which comes to my mind. Shambhu Malik's incident, what Maharaj has referred to. Something which he had committed, that he will take the opium from Shambhu Malik. You know, Shambhu Malik had a garden house close to Dakshineshwar, and Sri Ramakrishna and Shambhu Malik, they would spend lot of time talking about divine things in the garden house. So at that time, Sri Ramakrishna used to have a stomach problem, and Shambhu Malik had prescribed him, you do one thing, you see, you take a dose of opium every day, that will be relieving your stomach problem. And you do one thing, when you go back in the evening, you take some opium from me. You take some opium from me. This was the instruction of Shambhu Malik. Now, in the evening, after all the talks, both of them forgot. Shambhu Malik went into his inner apartments, and Sri Ramakrishna also straight away walked away, and he started walking towards the Dakshineshwar Kalibadi. On the way, someone is holding him back. You see, now who is holding him back? Why I am referring to this manifestation of Satyam as Ritam and as Dharma. Someone is holding him back and not letting him go towards Kalibadi. He is trying to go, he is not finding his way. Then he understood, suddenly it struck him, Ari, I had told Shambhu Malik that I will take the opium from you. And then he remembered, he came back. He came back, he took the opium, Shambhu Malik was not there, so he took the opium from his manager, and again he started coming back. Again the same thing happened. What happened? He lost his way. He could not keep his feet on the direction of the Kali Mandir. Again, as if someone was holding him back. Then he realized the fact that he had told that he will be taking this opium from Shambhu Malik's hand and not from the manager's hand. Can you imagine? There is a wonderful story which Sri Ramakrishna himself says. You know, in the villages, there are paddy fields, and in the paddy fields, people usually, they go from one village to another village walking on the ridges. These paddy fields they are separated from each other by the ridges. So that is the old practice. You might have seen, even today you will find, if you go to the villages, the paddy fields, they are separated from each other by ridges, and people would walk on the ridges. Literally, they would walk from one village to the other village walking on the ridges. So Sri Ramakrishna gives a beautiful example. A father who is walking with his two kids, okay. One kid, the small kid, the father is holding in his hands. And the slightly grown-up kid is walking side by, and the grown-up kid is holding the father's hand. See, two things, very beautiful, very, very suggestive. Sri Ramakrishna is saying that the grown-up child is holding the father's hand, whereas the small child is being held by the father. Totally two different situations. Now, what happens? This child which the father is holding, that child has got nothing to fear. There is no question of fear of falling down. But this small boy who is holding the father's hands, if he loses the grip, what will happen? He will fall down. Now, this is precisely the case with Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna is giving this example. Actually, it is his own. He is talking about his own self. What is the meaning of father holding the son? The divine mother is holding you. Once the divine mother is holding you, you can't deviate from truth then. You know, in our Shastras, there is one statement which comes to my mind is, it says, Satya Pratisthayam Kriya Phala Ashrayatvam. It says, what does it mean? Satya Pratisthayam. Any person who is established in truth. Please note this point, it's very important. Satya Pratisthayam Kriya Phala Ashrayatvam. Any person who is established in truth. Truth how? As I described. Truth in transaction, and through the practice of truthfulness at the level of transaction, you are getting aligned with the cosmic order. And in and through that alignment, you are becoming one with the absolute truth. This kind of a perfect alignment at all the levels, if somebody who is established in truth in this way, what happens? This person can no more deviate from truth. That person's situation will be just like the father holding the son. Here the divine mother won't allow this person to deviate from truth. It is not possible. Kriya Phala Ashrayatvam means what? Now whatever this person thinks, it will come to fruition. Whatever this person says, it will become true. This we can see in Sri Ramakrishna's life. This is the Shastra's great statement. Anybody adhering to truth for 12 long years, this is the big sadhana. Any person who adheres to truth in this way, a perfect alignment at all levels, whatever that person thinks, whatever that person speaks, everything will come to fruition. It will become true. Now, that is the reason, why people go to Mahatmas. Why do we go to Mahatmas? A Mahatma is a person who is adhering to truth. So we seek the blessings of great people. Why? A person who is adhering to truth, if he says, Tumhara bhala hoga hi. That is the great principle behind going to Mahatmas and our Gurus. That is the great principle. Now this you can find in Sri Ramakrishna's life blazingly. Sri Ramakrishna was so perfectly aligned with the supreme truth that whatever he thought would come to fruition. A few instances. You say, once Sri Ramakrishna in Dakshineshwar Kali Mandir, he had an intense desire to build a small kutia for himself. Not kutia. Actually, he used to do sadhana in the Panchavati. So he wanted to build a fence around the Panchavati. And in order to build the fence around a thought arose in his mind, okay. But Sri Ramakrishna doesn't have the resources with him. To create a fence, you need certain things. You need rope, you need some wood and poles. All these things are needed. Sri Ramakrishna doesn't have it. Simply a thought arises in his mind that I need to build a fence around the Panchavati. But from where is it going to happen? A single thought arises, and the next day, interestingly, you will find in the Ganga, during the high tide, rope and poles and everything is just coming and floating on the shore of Dakshineshwar. What a wonderful thing. Sri Ramakrishna takes those things and he creates a fence around Panchavati. Whatever, Satya Sankalpa, 12 years you practice this absolute adherence to truth, Kriya Phala Ashrayatvam. Whatever this person thinks will come to fruition. With Mathurnath, what happened with Mathurnath? With Mathurnath he was having a discussion that, Mathurnath, he was a worldly person. How fortunate that he had the good fortune of being with Sri Ramakrishna for some years. So Mathurnath, though a worldly person, and he was having this discussion with Sri Ramakrishna, and the discussion was about whether in this nature, whether nature can break its own rule. This was the discussion. Whether Prakriti or nature can break its own rule. So Mathurnath was saying that no, it's not possible. Nature is nature. What once is natural law, it will never break. Sri Ramakrishna was saying, no, it's not like that. If Divine Mother wishes, if that Paramesha Shakti wishes, it can change. See, Sri Ramakrishna was telling this, if Divine Mother wishes, it can change. If he has said that, it has to be like that. What happened? Next day, when he was plucking flowers, so usually see, it was a case of hibiscus flowers, I think. Hibiscus which is usually red. In the same plant where the hibiscus flower is supposed to be red, in the same twig, there was one flower which was red and one which was white. And he broke that and he came and showed to Mathur Babu. You see, yesterday I said, if Divine Mother wishes, she can break her own laws. This thought came to his mind and it comes to fruition. Any such incidents you can find in Sri Ramakrishna's life, amazing incidents. Another incident which comes to my mind is about, you see, once what happened? Sri Ramakrishna, whenever Sri Ramakrishna had the wish to practice a certain spiritual path, like Vaishnavism or Tantra, a desire rises in his mind, I have to practice Tantra, I have to do Tantra sadhana. Just one desire which rising in his mind, immediately you will see the teacher who would guide him in Tantra sadhana appears before him. The moment the desire in his mind rises that I have to do Vedanta sadhana, you will see the teacher of Vedanta comes and presents himself before him. Satya Sankalpa, Satya Pratisthayam Kriyafala Ashrayatvam. A person who is established in truth, whatever the person thinks, whatever the person speaks, it comes to fruition. One more thing which comes, you see, towards the end of his, after his sadhana, 12, 13 years of sadhana in Dakshineshwar, Sri Ramakrishna would stand on the top of his Dakshineshwar building and he would give out a cry saying, where are my children? Where are my children? I am eagerly waiting for my children to come. He was eagerly waiting for his monastic disciples to come. You see, one thought arises in his mind and one by one the monastic disciples begin to present themselves before Sri Ramakrishna. I am just explaining this from the Shastra's point of view. Satya Pratisthayam Kriya Phala Ashrayatvam. When a person is established in truth in this way, established at the transactional plane, established, aligned in the rhythm and in the absolute truth, that this is what actually is going to happen. So in this way, we can see that in Sri Ramakrishna's life is a perfect demonstration of perfect alignment with truth. Now, as I said, going back to that illustration where the father is holding the son and the son is holding the father, there are two things. In our case, we are all like, we are also trying to practice truth. But our practice of truthfulness may not be 100% perfect. We are still lacking in complete alignment with truth. Somewhere there are some gaps in between. That is why we are still not established in truth. We are struggling to that, and that is it. This struggle should go on. This is the lesson that we have to learn from this discussion. In our case, it is we who are struggling to get aligned with truth in our thoughts and in our speech and in our action. And when we are doing that, we are getting aligned to the cosmic order. And when we get aligned to the cosmic order, through that we become aligned to the absolute truth. It's a great practice. But once you become fully established in truth, then that person won't be able to deviate from truth. In that case, if the situation is just like, now that person becomes the child of Divine Mother. It is Divine Mother who is holding that child who is perfectly established in truth, and Divine Mother will not allow that person to deviate from truth, even unconsciously. This is what we find Sri Ramakrishna's life demonstrating. Even unconsciously, he would not be able to touch a coin because the cosmic order will not allow it to happen, because he has stated that wealth is dust and dust is wealth. Similarly with everything. It is not possible for Sri Ramakrishna to deviate from truth. So this is the kind of adherence to truth that we find in Sri Ramakrishna's life. For us, as I said, in our case, it is a practice of holding on to truth just like the child is holding on to the father's hand. So every now and then we lose the grip, again we hold, again we lose the grip, again we hold. But the struggle should go on. We should keep on struggling to adhere to truth in speech, in thought, in action, in our transactions, because whenever we do that, remember, the entire cosmic order is behind you. Don't underestimate this practice. That is why Satyam Eva Jayati, we don't have the patience actually. In order to gain petty gains, in order to have some momentary gains, we sometimes deviate from the truth. We don't understand. In the Upanishad, the statement is there. You see, at the transactional plane, when we deviate from truth, what is happening? It's a very important point to be noted. At the transactional plane, when we are deviating from the truth, we are getting disconnected from the cosmic order which is behind us. You understand this point? When I am speaking a lie, when I am deviating from truth, I am getting cut off from that cosmic order which is running this entire show. And when I am cut off from that cosmic order, I am also cut off from that supreme truth. And as cut off from the supreme truth, I begin to dry away. The Upanishad's word is that you literally dry away. Just like a tree which is uprooted from the soil, tell me, will it not begin to dry away? It will wither away. Similarly, whenever we are deviating from truth, it is just like a plant which is uprooted from the soil. Its withering away starts, we dry and we die. The more we are established in truth, we flourish. The more we are established in truth at all the levels, the human being flourish. This is the great demonstration which we find in Sri Ramakrishna's life. Not only Sri Ramakrishna's life, this is blazingly presented in all the great masters. Sri Ramakrishna comes and presents this in such a wonderful way in and through several incidents. Actually, there are many more incidents which we can talk about. The lack of time doesn't permit us here now. So just to wind up my talk, Satyam, Ritam, and Dharma. Dharma in the transactional plane, in the plane of our Vyavahara, when we are adhering to Dharma and Satyam, what is happening is we are getting aligned with Ritam, and through that we become aligned with the Supreme Truth. And when we are doing that, remember, we are growing stronger and more spiritual. So I pray to Sri Ramakrishna that may Ishvara give us that strength and the capability to adhere to truth at all the levels, in our thought, in our speech, in our actions, and in and through that, as it is stated in the Kali Yuga, this practice of truth is the practice. Even by adhering to truth, the person will realize God. This is the plain, simple truth. Thank you so much.